Well, Dr. Bauer, every month I say the same thing. I'm not sure if the Facebook page is live, but I'm going to consider it live right now as we're broadcasting live to our community and our Facebook world. And we're doing some updates from our action meeting of last Thursday with the North Penn School Board. And we'll take any questions and we'll give our shout outs to our viewers and listeners who are watching right now. So we're going to keep an eye on our comments. How are you doing on this Eagles win Monday and with a potential evening game with the Phillies? We'll see how tonight goes. How are we feeling? How are you feeling today?
So to be very literal, I'm a bit under the weather. It is not obviously COVID. I've taken all necessary precautions and made sure of that, but maybe a sinus infection. I don't know, something. So I'm a little under the weather. I apologize for the stuffed up voice or potential coughs during this show, but all in all, I'm good. My wife actually went down to Duke this weekend. She is an accomplished field hockey player at Duke, and they were honoring her Final Four team from, we'll say, a few years ago. And so I was playing kind of carpool chaperone all weekend, bouncing place to place to place with my kids. So long weekend of youth sports. But we made it work, and it was a lot of fun. My daughter had a lacrosse tournament in Conshohocken. My son was in Newtown on Saturday and Sunday. So lots and lots of youth sports. Couple that with a Phillies win on Saturday night after a heartbreaking loss on Friday night. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. Yeah. And then cap it off with an Eagles win and hopefully a National League pennant tonight. Bob, I'm doing just fine.
Good.
Doing just fine.
Let's see, there's no weather can affect you. That's for sure. So going into from last Thursday's school board meeting, our action meeting on Thursday, we had some big items. One big item that we've been talking about for a while. The board voted on moving towards a referendum for the addition of 9th grade here to North Penn High School. I say here because that's where I'm located, at North Penn High School.
Right.
Tell us about what that vote is, what that means for our community.
Yeah. So it feels like we've been talking about this forever, and we kind of have, right? We've been having formal conversations about a renovation at North Penn High School since 2018, I think was our first forum about it. But the conversation started well before that. So just this past Thursday, the board did vote to go to an electoral ballot referendum, which will take place on January 16th. And the whole point of that is to allow the community to decide whether or not 9th grade will move to the high school campus. And then, of course, it would be irresponsible not to mention, like, at what cost, right? So the difference between that project and one where we do a simple systems renovation of the high school, the difference in a mathematical term means subtraction. They are vastly different renovations, right? But the option one, the amount of debt service that we would need to incur to move 9th grade to the high school and do all the things that we want at the high school is $97 million on top of other renovations to the building, right? But the addition, the moves from certain programs, the music program would move to a different location. Athletic programs would move across the campus in some spaces. So all those, the mark that we want to be clear of the Act 1 is $97 million, which that's a lot of money, and it's a big commitment on behalf of the school district. But I do think it's a beautiful thing to allow the community to make that decision. And we've been saying all along that, you know what, we need to move forward either way once this decision is made, right? If the decision is made on January 16th that we are moving forward, great. If not, great. Because the die is cast at that point. So between now and January 16th, answer all questions, engage anyone, and give opportunities for everyone who wants to be engaged, and even those who don't know that they want to be engaged. Really give tours, put things online, send mailers, be in touch with the community as a whole, and hope for everyone to vote and for everyone to be an informed voter. That's the goal.
Yeah, and I think in our area with our communications, like, our biggest goal is to make sure people have all the information they need to vote, so that when they're walking into the booth to make a vote, they know what they're voting on. And wherever that outcome goes, our main job, and we're successful if everybody knows what they're voting on and why. and knowing the impact of both and what that means. So it's not like, oh, I didn't realize that meant XYZ down the road.
Right.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure on a referendum, there's a time limit too. Like if this fails, there's a certain amount of time that you'd have to wait to even consider the question all over again.
Yeah, it's about 6 months.
And we've already said that, like the time, we're out of time, right? We're out of time on a lot of these things, and the amount of time it takes to develop, the costs that start to escalate just because of time. There's never been a project that was less expensive later. It's always been more because that's just the way the economy is, and things grow and things cost more. So it's a really important role for us to make sure people are informed. And it feels like you and I have talked about this all the time, but making sure people have this information. The mailings are coming, those types of things. There's going to be a lot of information between now and January, but I implore everybody in the community to, ask us, challenge us, ask the deep questions, because we're an open book on this. We're trying to put out as much information as possible, put it in formats that are understandable. And, we are here to answer every question. And that's what I hope people really engage us with when we get to the vote come January, because this is a big decision for the community, and it's a community decision, and everyone's going to decide exactly how we're going to function for decades to coming up for this January referendum.
Yeah, absolutely, Bob. You said that beautifully. Roughly 30 years ago, a decision was made on whether or not to build a second high school. And the decision was made to not build a second, but rather to add on K-Pod and an auditorium. And I believe that the people who made that decision, when they made that decision, made it for the best of reasons, and with the information that they had, and they charted a course. Well, we're at a precipice now where we're going to chart another course, and we need to make the decision. And the neat thing here is that the community gets to officially weigh in on that decision. You can give public comment, you can write emails and lobby and kind of promote one way or the other. But in this case, the community is actually making the decision, not just electing people who get to make the decision. They're making the decision. And that's exciting. And do we want ninth grade at the high school or not? And if we do that, then this is what it's going to cost. This is going to be the taxpayer impact. This is what it could look like. Keep in mind the design phase. We keep saying, like, we wouldn't go out for bid until the spring of 25 at best case scenario, right? So the design phase is still ongoing, but we had to get to a very, very strong estimate by this month so that we could approve a resolution to go out for a referendum. So our estimates now are really good estimates. We believe we went through them with a fine-tooth comb, and we have numbers that we cannot go over as part of this process of a referendum, but we're confident in that number and that we can keep it within that price if it's approved. If it's not, okay, we're moving on, and we're going to fix North Penn High School because it desperately needs it.
Excellent. I'm just going to throw out there as I'm watching our Facebook page here. If you have any questions here that we can try to hit right off the bat, that's why we do these pieces, to answer questions as they come up.
Yeah, bring it on.
Just scrolling along right now. Don't be afraid to throw a question in there. We will do our best to address it here in this live format. But if you have questions about the referendum, the process, and actually, Dr. Bauer, I mean, generally, if we want to talk about it, and there's going to be more information about what that's going to look like, but this special election is an election. Like any other election. So when you go into a polling place, your normal polling place, it's going to be the same process. The difference here is the only question on the ballot, no candidates, nothing else. It's
one question.
And it's going to be, I don't know if we bring up the exact terminology, but it's going to be the question. Let's see if I bring it up here. See if you get to it faster than I do.
I'm on it.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
This will be the question. So go ahead.
Presentation is loading. So the question will be, and most of this is regulated, right? Like we can't add much to the question itself. There are like blanks in the law that we have to follow. So the question will read, shall debt in the form of $97,318,376 for the purpose of financing new construction that includes space for ninth grade students to be educated on campus and renovations of North Penn High School be authorized to be incurred as debt approved by the electors. End quote. Right. So that is the question. Yes means yes, I want ninth grade to move to the high school campus. No means no, I don't. And we want to move forward with a systems only renovation of the high school. That's the question. That's all there is to it.
And that's what it's either going to be. Yes, that the debt in the sum of 97,318,000, et cetera, for the purpose of financing new construction for ninth grade students, or no, do not incur that debt. And then, like, when we incur that debt, the other part of this means, and the reason we ask this question has to deal with your annual taxes, real estate taxes for school taxes. And this is allowing us for this amount to go over Act 1 index if necessary. So the percentage that this part is not part of the Act 1 index, the electors, the voter, everyone in this community is going to decide whether or not this portion can be taxed outside of whatever the state determines what Act 1 index is in the future. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. So what it means is that this amount, this $97 million would be free and clear of Act 1. It does not mean that future boards will elect to go up to the Act 1 index every single year, or that they won't. Right? It doesn't. There are no implications. What it does mean is that this $97 million does not count towards the Act 1 index. So that is paid for by the community, the taxpayer, right, outside of Act 1. So let's talk about, because there was also on the board agenda, resolution not to exceed, right? So the Act 1 index is determined each year, and it's based on, Mr. Scrocky has gone into finance meetings about how it's calculated, all those things, but it's a couple years behind typically the economy, right? 2 years roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And this year for the 24-5 school year, so this coming year, but for this budget year, as we're planning for next year, they have put out that the Act 1 index is 5.3%. That means a school district cannot go above 5.3% should they choose to hit that number when they pass a budget. Now, us saying we will not exceed means we won't take any of the exceptions for that number to go above Act 1. We are doing obviously a referendum separately outside of that process. So the board elected, like, we will not go above 5.3. That does not mean they will go to 5.3. Mm-hmm. It just means we won't exceed it. And you have to pass that resolution in order to, kind of draw a line in the sand. We're not going to go above this number. And then that changes the deadlines and the timeline of the budget process. But again, I want to reiterate, it does not commit future boards to going to 100% of an Act 1 index every year. It's just saying that this 97 is outside of that process.
Got it. And I think from the Act 1 index of why we take a vote now, and it all has to do with the budget timeline. So the state requires a particular timeline in order to pass the budget on time. So if there was an application for exceptions and those kinds of things, it changes the timeline of when we have to have preliminary budget done, final budgets, all those types of things. So for the board to act to say, we have no intention of taking any exceptions. So we're going to tell you that right now. So it creates the timeline for our budget to be reviewed, approved through next year at the end of next spring for the following school year. So this is the vote always takes place to either say we intend to exceed, right, by taking exceptions. And typically, this is the vote that takes place this time of year to say we have no intention of exceeding the Act 1 index. It's going to be somewhere below or at that level. And it just all has to do with state timelines on budgets.
That's correct. Well done, Bob. You must have taken a school finance class.
I might have sat in a few board meetings in my time. I might have been a few of those. So anyway, we're not getting any questions on the Facebook page. Let me check how many viewers we've got right now. We got a few. If you got questions, throw them in there. You can say hello too. You can say hi. You can throw us a hi there.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Todd. So let's talk about some of the other things on the agenda. So referendum was the biggie. We've been talking about that coming up to a long time. And obviously there'll be a lot more information on that. But there are some other big pieces on there. We talked about the Act 1 index. Let's talk about our students. Right off the top, we've been doing student features at schools. So North Wales Elementary School had a really amazing project with a lot of community support and student support, teacher support. Tell us about the students that came up to speak from North Wales at the board meeting.
Yeah, it's just been kind of a focus that we've been doing proclamations for years and years and years since the beginning of time, I assume. And sometimes it's difficult to get folks to come out for proclamations, right? It's a lot of organizing, contacting coaches, working around their schedule, or club advisors, principals, teachers. And it's really difficult to get them to come in all the time. And in many cases, it's the same groups year after year after year.
Sure.
So we decided to mix it up. And we started this kind of last year when we were moving our board meeting around to the different municipalities. But now it's like, you know what, that really worked well to just highlight great things that are going on that wouldn't typically fall under a proclamation.
A state championship. Like, you only get to come if you're a state champion, right?
Right.
So great things happening is what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. And trying to give autonomy to the schools. Like, what are some things that you're doing in your school that you're really proud of? So this week or month, excuse me, it was North Wales Elementary, and they chose to highlight the garden project that they have in their courtyard. So some parents from the Home and School Association kind of took the lead in revitalizing the garden and planting, and now kids are learning about the process, getting excited about things that they're growing, but then obviously harvesting and using. Students spoke about how they enjoy just being out there to study or to learn. It's more peaceful. Obviously drives home the point of natural air and greens and the impacts on mental health. But then we also had a special guest who is a North Wales Elementary alumnus, Nate. I don't like to use students' last names, so we'll say Nate H, who is a high school student. Nate is an Eagle Scout. And he wanted to contribute to this gardening project, and he created a standing garden to give more access to students who maybe don't have access to that space or can't get down on the ground and actually garden. So it's an elevated garden, and students are able, perhaps you're in a wheelchair or some mobility challenges, just to give more access to gardening and all that comes with it. So Nate did that as an Eagle Scout project, and he and his father came to the board meeting and spoke about that too. So just really neat way to see not only the kids at North Wales and the staff, but the parents. Some community organizations have donated some plants and resources, and then also the Boy Scouts of America and a high school student and his father, and all. Like, this is how it's supposed to work, right? Too many times over the last few years, like, we're dividing communities in our world. And when they talk about education and all these things, here we are bringing our community together to do something great. And it might be seen by some as something small, but to me, it's huge. It's great. This is what education is supposed to be about. Yes, reading, writing, and arithmetic, of course, and the programs and the curriculum and the Common Core and all those things. But in this case, it's about more than that, and bringing different people together for the greater good and to learn and to create a better school environment for kids. It's what it's all about, Bob. It was great.
No, it was awesome. The kids did a great job on their presentations, talking about, how they use it and why it's important to them. And yeah, Nate did an awesome job presenting, and it's a really great Eagle Scout project. I'm involved with scouting. My son is an Eagle Scout, and I'm still involved in scouting. And these projects, these community projects, that they go and they need to find a way to lead. And that's Nate's job there is to lead a project of other scouts or other people to help build and bring this to the school. So it was a really good application of all those areas, and a great community effort to bring that garden to the middle of North Wales. And if you've been there, that's a space that could use some freshening. So it was a really welcome piece right there in the middle of the old section and the new sections. And the new sections is 1974. So, we talk about those new sections. And so it was a really nice project there.
Yeah, if I may, Bob, real quick, you weren't in the room because I know you were in the truck producing the meeting.
Yep.
But after he had spoken, I just have to give another shout out to Nate. After he spoke, he went out into the audience, and I think Mrs. Stoll thanked him, and he shouted out something to the effect of, "And Dr. Bauer is amazing." And I got choked up. Like, it made me a little emotional on the spot. And I think it really touched the hearts of everyone. Because, in these jobs, and in your job and my job, you take a lot of criticism and heat, and everybody's an expert, and everybody criticizes the decisions you make, regardless of whether it's right or wrong. You do the best job you can and serve the community. And then to have a young man like Nate stand up and just show his appreciation for me just meant the world to me. So it was without a doubt the highlight of my year to hear him shout that out, and everybody in the audience kind of gave it like, "Oh."
See, I didn't hear what he said. I knew he said something, and I heard the "aw."
Yeah. It really touched my heart. I told my wife when I got home, and she was like, "That is so nice." It's like, yeah, it really made my month or year. So thanks, Nate.
Yeah, thank you, Nate. Just a little bit of kindness once in a while goes a long way for sure. We have Laura Jean saying so wonderful. Thank you, Laura, for joining our conversation here. There's some other things that were on the agenda that were student based. So I wanted to talk about there's 2 surveys the board approved that students will be doing. There's the student sense of belonging survey, and then there's the PAYS survey. Do you want to talk about the difference of those and the grades and whatnot, and what they're for? What are those surveys for?
Yeah, the Pennsylvania Youth Survey, the PAYS survey, is one that looks at longitudinal data through a cohort model. To simplify that, it's giving the same survey to the same kids over the course of 6 years, right? So they take it every other year in 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th, and kind of see like what types of at-risk behaviors, what things kids are involved in our different communities. And, full transparency, we send a letter home about the PAYS survey. There are questions that are asked that are a lot for a 6th grader, right? There are. But if you're really trying to get an honest pulse of what types of activities students are engaged in, you got over a long period of time, you got to ask them when they're younger and compare to 8th, 10th, 12th grade. So for example, my own daughter is in 8th grade, and she takes these surveys in her school district. And I remember when she came home as a 6th grader, Bob, asking me questions like, "Dad, what is this?"
Yeah.
It says things like, "Have you ever tried marijuana," for example? And perhaps a 6th grader has never had that conversation. But you can't study and have a real grasp on the data and the at-risk behaviors in your community if you don't kind of look at it longitudinally. So certainly we're respectful of parents' right to opt out of any surveys. They're welcome to view the survey beforehand. I certainly understand what the Department of Education is doing, and I value it. And obviously we wouldn't be participating if we didn't value it. But there are some concepts on there that are mature for, say, a 12-year-old.
For sure. And for our parents to engage in that, to look at that. So if you have any questions to reach out and ask us about it. I think the other part that people always have questions about when it comes to surveys like this is the privacy part. Yep. So how is that data collected, and how is it seen or viewed by anybody here or at the state? How is it viewed?
Yeah. So the only thing that is collected is demographic information, not name, social security number. It's really about just, we want to take a look at, say, 6th graders, and then they'll ask other identifying, not individually identifying, sure, but demographic information to just kind of get the profile of the individual so we can run analyses and comparisons. Any good researcher and any good research project will eliminate any of that identifiable information. So they're not even collecting that info. It's really about what grade and what age you're in. And then it gives us kind of the profile of our students and how they are doing in school, out of school, all those things. Switching gears a little bit, the Belonging Survey is a consortium effort with the University of Pennsylvania, really seeking to see how safe kids feel, learning about their perspective in their community. We've been participating in this for a couple of years as well, and it's a collaborative with us, Penn, and all the districts in Montgomery County. So we've seen great benefit from that survey as well. Really helps us inform our decisions, everything from curriculum to social approaches, to recess and playground and all those things. So they were both on the board agenda. They are not new to us. We've been doing them for years, but we do see the value. And certainly the PAYS survey comes with it quite a few resources for our students. It's spearheaded by Montgomery County Office of Public Health, and other assets within the community, and we get counseling services for students. We get access to certain resources as a result of working with the county on this endeavor.
Same question. Privacy questions, similar type of thing with our surveys.
All the same.
Yes.
In accordance with board policy, Bob.
Understood. Okay, so the other big thing is I pick through the agenda. There's always big things, right? That's why we have a board meeting for action every month. Is that we have an RFP out, a request for proposal for transportation services. What's that include?
So right now, I believe all of our out of district placements, and that could be for a variety of reasons. So all of our non-pub and out of district runs are done by first student, and the contract is up in June. So typically it's a fairly long-term contract for the world of education, like 5-6 years. And our contract's up. So we're going out for proposal and going to have other transportation companies submit proposals if they would like to, and then make a determination on what's the best way to move forward. One thing I will say is, and Mr. Scrocky reiterated, the cost for this will go up. Obviously, the cost for transportation has certainly gone up over the last few years. So we are expecting that the new contract will go up.
Understood. And that's not in the same conversation when we talk about a transportation center and our transportation department. This is all the routes that we send out to a subcontractor, and that's currently first student. And when does this close? When would we know that? Do you know when we're expected to vote on that? Sometime this
That's a
spring?
good question. I don't know the exact timeline on this RFP. I would suspect that proposals are due sometime in the next few weeks, and we would maybe see it on the board agenda in December.
Okay, could be that early.
Yeah. I don't think we would see it in November, but we'll see it soon enough. And again, this is not a change. It's just the contract that we currently have is up. So as a responsible servants of the community, there are processes in place, and an RFP is necessary for something this significant. So out to proposal, it's very possible it would be first student again. We'll see.
Got it. Okay, so that's all the biggies I had from the school board meeting. Anything else that you wanted to talk about before we start to wrap up for the day?
No, I think you did a good job covering it, Bob. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to hop on here. I really, I mean it. I'm not just saying, and I hope that those who listen and watch these episodes will say, look, if you send Todd an email, he will get back to you. I'll write back to everyone and call. And sometimes I just pick up the phone because it's easier to talk. But if you have questions, if you feel uninformed, if you're hearing rumors that you're like, that can't be true, reach out. I make myself available 24/7. But really want to make sure that we do our jobs in informing the community, answering every single question. Some of the questions are hard to answer, right? And that's the whole point in community engagement. So looking forward to the next couple months. We'll all be able to take a deep breath January 17th, because like I said, at that point, the die will have been cast.
For sure. So there's lots of places to get information, whether it's about the referendum, the high school renovation. We have our Reimagine northpennhighschool.org. You're going to see it all over our social media. You see it all over our website. And so we continue to ask if there's something we're not answering or haven't provided the information. Every time we do tours, Pete Nicholson does our tours every other Tuesday, which will be not this Tuesday, but next, at North Penn High School at 6 p.m. That's a rolling every other week tour. The one thing when I'm in the room or with the tour, I'll ask at the end, are there things that you don't know about, that you need more information, or what is it that we're missing that you need more information on? Because again, the goal is just being very informed when it comes to the referendum vote come January. And we have information and we feel like we're sharing all of it all the time, but I know we're not hitting everybody exactly the same way. So if there's opportunity to refocus or provide better information or more clarity, that's what we're here to do, to figure out so you have the right information. So that's it.
Yep. That's a quick episode this time.
Well, what do we got? 30 minutes there? It's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. I like it. I always enjoy the time. You do a great job, Bob. If people haven't been listening, a little plug here for Educating with Ease, the new podcast, co-hosted by the two of us. And we're going to have a new episode coming up here soon with a special guest from Montgomery Elementary School. So
very Montgomery folks.
Yeah.
Take a look. Tune in to find out, right?
Yeah, you gotta tune in. There's a little teaser here.
So if you do the podcast, you can find Educating with Ease on Spotify, on Amazon, on Apple Podcasts, Google, all those places. We'll post it here on Facebook, usually a couple days after we launch every Wednesday with our, not every Wednesday, every other Wednesday with our podcast. So there's 3 episodes there now. You can go back and get caught up and then be ready for the Wednesday podcast with Educating with Ease with Dr. Bauer here on Wednesday. So we're always looking for questions and comments for that one too. So in the Spotify world, you can actually leave us voicemails and messages and those types of things. We'll take it off of Facebook or anywhere, but if you have any questions in any of these formats, we're ready to answer any question anytime, anywhere, right, Dr. Bauer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Bring it on, all the hard questions. It is our responsibility to engage in a polite, professional manner. Rather than hear rumors, rather than take shots, just ask. Let's just talk about it. There's no reason to hide behind questions because in order for you to cast your vote on January 16th, we need to make sure all your questions are answered. So ask them.
Sounds good.
That's it.
It's a good way to end it. Dr. Bauer, hope you're feeling much better. You get above the weather. Let's hope for a big Phillies win tonight.
Go Phils.
I love that we're an earlier game too, because all
the 5 o'clock. The 5 o'clock is great.
It's strong. All righty, Dr. Bauer. Thanks. We'll see everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.